Brahmena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. We continue reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Chapter 2. When Abhay was not actually sitting side by side with his fellow students, sharing a classroom bench before one of the long desks that stood row after row in the lecture hall, when he was not looking attentively forward during the lecture of one of his professors, usually a reverend dressed in a European suit, speaking a Scottish brogue and pronouncing words like duty and duty, when he was not actually in the classroom hearing their lectures on Western logic or chemistry or psychology. Then he was at his homework assignment, sitting at a table amidst the bookshelves in the college library, reading from an open book or writing notes while the electric fans overhead rippled the pages. Or he was at home with his father, sisters, and brothers, but reading his lessons or writing a paper for the reverend in the lecture hall. He had to abandon worshipping the Krishna deity he had demanded his father give him years before he had retired his deities to a closed box. Gaur Mohan was undisturbed that his pet son could no longer attend to all the devotional activities of his childhood. He saw that Abhay was remaining pure in all his habits, that he was not adopting Western ideas or challenging his own culture, and that as a student at Scottish churches, college, he would not likely be exposed to immoral behavior. Gormohan was satisfied to see Abhay getting a good education to prepare for a career after graduation. He would be a responsible Vaishnava. He would soon marry and get a job. One of Abhay's classmates and close companions was Rupendranath Mitra. Abhay and Rupen would study together and sit side by side in the assembly hall during Bible class, uttering the compulsory prayers. Rupen noticed that although Abhay was a serious student, he was never enamored of Western education or ambitious for scholastic achievements. Abhay would confide to Rupen, I don't like these things, and sometimes he spoke of moving away. What are you thinking? Rupen would ask, and Abhay would reveal his mind. Rupen found that Abhay was always thinking about something religious, something philosophical or devotional about God. Abhay studied the Western philosophers and scientists, yet they held no fascination for him. After all, they were only speculating, and their conclusions were not in the devotional mood and spirit of the Vaishnava training he had received from his father and the Vedic scriptures. The sudden access to the wealth of Western knowledge, which created in some an appetite to study deeply and in others a desire to get ahead in the world through good grades and career, left Abhay untouched. Certainly within his heart he was always thinking of something religious, something philosophical or devotional about God. And yet, as a Scottish Church's college man, he gave his time and attention to academic life. One night after his first year of college, Abhay had an unusual dream. The deity of Krishna, his father had given him, appeared to Abhay complaining, Why have you put me away in this box? You should take me out and worship me again. Abhay felt sorry that he had neglected his deity, and he resumed his worship of Radha and Krishna at home despite his assignments. In the class, 1 year ahead of Abhay was a very spirited nationalist, Subhash Chandra Bose. He had been a student at Presidency College but had been expelled for organizing a student strike against a British professor who had repeatedly abused Indian students. At Scottish churches, Bose appeared to be a serious student. He was secretary of the Philosophy Club and was working cooperatively with Vice Chancellor Urquhart. From Subhas Bose and others, Abhay heard talks of Indian independence. He heard the names well known in his native Bengal, Bipin Chandrapal, who had fought to repeal the Arms Act, Surendranath Banerjee, who startled the British with his agitation against the 1905 partition of Bengal, Lala Lajpat Rai, and most notably Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Scottish Church's College Scottish Church College was strict in forbidding anti-government propaganda, but the students were sympathetic to the cause of Home Rule. Although there were no open signs of rebellion, students sometimes held nationalistic meetings in secret. When Subhash Chandra Bose urged the students to support the Indian independence movement, Abhay listened. He liked Bose's faith in spirituality, his enthusiasm and determination. Abhay was not interested in political activity, but the ideals of the independence movement appealed to him. Many Bengali speakers and writers expressed India's drive for independence, Swaraj, as a spiritual movement. For the nationalist political emancipation was analogous to the soul's liberation from material bondage. Abhay was interested in devotional service to Lord Krishna, the absolute truth, a conviction he had imbibed from his father and maintained since his childhood. Whereas Indian independence was a temporary relative truth, but some of the leaders of Swaraj, while admitting that the Vedic scriptures were indeed absolute, asserted that the original glory of Indian culture could not shine forth for the world's benefit until India became free from the stigma of foreign rule. The foreigners they pointed, cut, blasphemed, and castigated the preeminence of India's culture. Abhay had felt this also in his assigned reading in M. Ghosh, England's work in India. He had encountered the theory that the Vedic scriptures were impure, recent writings, and that India's had been a spiritually backward culture before British rule and the spread of Christianity. There were many British insults against the Shastras, such as Abhay's professors trying to discount the law of karma. But if India could gain national freedom, then everyone, not only Indians, but the entire world could benefit from India's highly evolved Vedic culture. The call to Swaraj, although covert, attracted virtually all the students and Abhay amongst them. He was especially interested in Gandhi. Gandhi always carried a Bhagavad Gita. He daily read Lord Krishna's holy words and spoke of being guided by the Gita above all other books. Gandhi's personal habits were pure. He abstained from all intoxication, meat eating, and illicit sex. He lived simply, like a sadhu, yet he seemed to have more integrity than the begging sadhus Abhay had seen so many times. Abhay read his speeches and followed his activities. Maybe Gandhi could carry spirituality into the field of action. The Gita's truth, Gandhi proclaimed, belonged in a most prominent place where the Gita not only could be read but could work for everyone's freedom. And the symbol of that freedom was Swaraj. Stop here. Yeah, it's mostly like, yeah, just few seconds I'll say, or something like we read about Subhash Chandra Bose, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, like all were Srila Prabhupada, the Srila Prabhupada's time. And I like that how his deities came in his dream and instructed him that he should not keep them inside the box. Again, should start worshipping them. And yes, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned so many incidents about Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose and Gandhiji, how their activities were really good.